You're the owner of a small business, which means you're also the tech guy, and HR, and personal assistant, and head honcho, and intern. You could use another pair of hands, like the experts you'll find at Verizon Small Business Days, April 21st through 27th. Get a free tech check, special deals, and more. Call 1-800-483-4428 or visit verizon.com/smallbusiness to book your appointment. Verizon Business.
Reality radio for a really great future. We're talking real money.
I was trying to decide whether to start the show with this sound or with this sound. Which is cattle, badly done cattle. I'm not in my best today. This has been a rough week for Don. But today's show, we're going to talk a little bit about human behavior and bubbles.
Yeah. The first one I had trouble understanding. The second, no trouble whatsoever with your bubble. The herd mentality. 855-935-TALK is our phone number. 855-935-8255. Call. You must have something you do with money that's got you a little confused, particularly in the days of our COVID. This is the days of our COVID. Is that the new cereal we never miss?
Yeah.
Right, okay.
Yeah. Crunchy, sort of viral. It's going to go viral. I swear, it's going to go viral.
I think you're right.
855-935-TALK, 855-935-8255. I'm Don. That's Tom over there. He's in the Seattle area. I'm in the hotspot for COVID, hiding
inside, yeah.
I'm hiding inside my hermetically sealed studio in Florida. I'm not leaving for anything.
That's a good idea.
Not going anywhere.
You're not leaving to make big money by investing in something?
Oh, you mean like, let's see, what's the latest hot craze we're going to talk about? Oh, you mean blank check funds. Those are hot.
Blank check funds or slices of stocks because you can't buy the whole thing. We'll get into that because, really, when you look at it, this is nothing new.
What is nothing new?
Well, all of us deciding that something's hot and wanting to be part of it. This has been going on for a long time.
Well, yeah, at least since the 1990s and the internet bubble, the .com.
How about 300 years ago?
300.
You don't remember this one? You weren't talking about this one on your show? Did we have 1720?
Did we have radio then?
No, we didn't.
I didn't think so.
Thankfully, that didn't come around until about 1920. So,
what happened in summer? Tom, what happened in 1720?
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
I really appreciate the setup. The South Sea Company. You don't remember the South Sea bubble? Yes, you do.
I do know of it because I'm a student of history. So I do try to pay attention to historical things. But this was like the 18th century's version of the tulip bulb mania of a century before. Was it a century? When was tulip bulb mania?
That was the
1600s.
16th century. I mean, the thing is, the reason we're talking about this and the reason it's topical is because it's topical. Because we're seeing the behavior.
Wait, that's nonsensical.
The
reason it's sensible is because it makes sense.
Yeah, it does. Anything you can do to help would be very helpful because the reality, again, is we're repeating ourselves.
Yeah. And you know what's funny? I just looked it up. The tulip bulb mania was in the 17th century, the beginning of the 17th century. Okay. Then the South Sea bubble was in the 18th century, beginning of the 18th century.
That's correct.
Then you had in the 1800s, you had bubbles. There was an industrial. Early on, there was an industrial bubble. Later on, there was a railroad bubble. Then there was the 1929 bubble, the 28-29 bubble. Then there was the .com bubble or the Nifty 50 bubble. Yeah, there's always these things. What is wrong with all of us?
I still have, by the way, my tulip bulbs locked up at the bank waiting for the price to return to where it was in 1650 or whatever it was.
He is a long-term buy and hold investor.
I'm waiting. It's coming back. I just got to wait it out.
Tulip bulbs are coming back.
No, I mean,
Because the lessons to be South Sea
Well, wait a minute.
Company.
Let's
Listen
talk
to these
about,
numbers.
because most people don't know
It's shocking.
what
No,
we're talking
okay.
about. In the
this is a company.
1720,
Yeah, go ahead.
there was a company, the South Sea
Yes.
Company, that was created mainly just to raise money. It was a money-raising company.
Does it
And
sound
it
familiar?
worked
We'll get to that.
Yeah, it worked hand in hand with the British government. It was a lot like kind of a form of a little Ponzi-ish. It had a Ponzi-ish feel to it. So go ahead.
Well, and it used the money to, I think, be part of the slave trade. It used the money to finance British debt.
Yeah, eventually, exactly.
Government debt.
It went from being a merchant company, though, to being just a financial firm that was speculating on British debt.
And the numbers are astounding. 1720 South Sea shares up 650 by July 12th. And then by the end of the year, stock down by 80%. We'll talk about why we think this is an important thing for you to consider in 2020.
And 2120 and 2220. So tell your family, tell your children, tell them to pass it along to their children. 855-935-TALK.
Tom and Don are talking real money.
We don't believe in seat of your pants investing. We believe investing should be based on solid science, on academic research. That's why on July 29th, we'll be hosting a brand new class, The New Science of Real Investing, at 8 a.m. via Zoom. Get your tickets right now at talkingrealmoney.com. Just click on the new events button or the events button and reserve your place. Go to talkingrealmoney.com and make sure you're there to learn the science of real investing in our next online Zoom class. Go to talkingrealmoney.com, click on the events button.
For your real life and real future, Tom and Don are talking real money.
855-935-TALK. That's our phone number. Call 855-935-8255. Way back in the early 1700s, 1711 to 1720. Well, actually, it went on past that, but there was a company called the South Sea Company that was originally a slave trading company, and then they got into the business of speculating in British government debt. They became the sole. They became the sole seller, basically, of British debt. The British government pulled debt from the Bank of England off the market, so these guys were doing it because they were so big financially. They were getting injections of money from the government. They had stock that was trading at 123 pounds in 1720, which is an incredible amount of money. So by then, all of these people were buying up the stock in the South Sea Company, including Sir Isaac Newton, who owned at one point 25,000 pounds worth of South Sea Company stock.
And
That's
the
a lot of
London housekeeper who had racked up about 8,000 pounds in gains. That's about 1.5 million in today's dollars. So people were getting in, making a lot of money with the old South Sea until they weren't.
And you remember back in the 90s, when the dot-com thing started, there were just a few big dot-com companies, but they were making a lot of money. There was a lot of investment in things like Netscape and AOL and the like. So everybody started coming up with a dot-com idea. I even had McMoney.com until McDonald's took it away from me. But the same thing happened in 1720. Suddenly, companies started coming out of the woodwork to float stock.
88 companies just in the summer, I think I read.
Yeah. It's just
crazy.
Like new issues. Now think about that. We don't see 88 IPOs in a summer in this country. We don't see that many. And this was all happening in England with a gross domestic product at that point of 64 million pounds. When the domestic product of England is in the billions and billions of pounds today. And that's England. We're in the trillions in the United States. So we're a different world. And yet all of these stocks came out and people were literally hawking their jewelry to buy companies.
Companies that they didn't even know what were going to do with the money.
Right. As a matter of fact, some of these companies were companies that existed. One of them made blades, hollow blades for swords. And they issued stock and went into banking.
I like the air pump for the brain.
Yeah, I'm still trying to figure out how a brain air pump works.
I'm not going to try that, by the way. I'll
put it in one ear and...
Yeah, as it were.
Yeah.
At any rate, why are we discussing this today? Well, okay, because it's the 300th anniversary of the illustrious South Sea Company bubble. But there have been so many, and it seems like we're getting more in the last 100 years than we had for a while, right? Things, the manias, the FOMO, the all these terms that really do apply
FOMO,
because we see people piling
of missing out. For those of you who don't know what we're talking about,
yeah, I mean, people just feel like the reason, according to the people that study these things, is that we truly are a herd animal. That was why you're making the sound earlier, right? Yeah. And we just have this tendency to see other people doing it. They're getting rich. I can remember that very famous cover from, might have been Forbes or Fortune. It had a picture of the fella on there in about 1999, and he was sweating, and he said, "Everybody's getting rich except me." So, this is how people feel. And this is how, by the way, you end up with a lot less money than you started. Because if you remember the late 1990s, you might not remember the 1720. But you remember the late 1990s that you just pointed out, Don, a lot of these internet ideas, which is basically all they were had no revenue. They were ideas, and they went public. So they cashed out the people that had started them. The public ended up buying them, and they went to, in many cases, to zero.
And in other cases, they barely hung on, including some of the originals like AOL. America Online, which is kind of somewhere out there, but not really.
I know.
So what happened? Here's the problem. You, as a regular old person like the rest of us, we need to, let's accept the fact that we're all regular old people, no matter how special we might think ourselves to be. When it comes to investing, we do not have any, we don't have any special knowledge that is going to allow us to get ahead of those who play this game professionally. We will never have it. You can't have it. Give it up. By the time you know something has been hot, it's
over.
Soon not going to be so hot. And this works.
The last person standing.
This works in inverse too. In reverse, by the time you know that the market has fallen, it's too late to do anything about it. There's so many lessons here. Remember real estate in 2008. I live in one of the bubble spots in the United States. Central Florida was a bubble spot. People literally in my town were lined up down the street to pay $400 per square foot for a crappy apartment.
Where are they today?
$180 a square foot today.
Okay. Is that what it is? Wow, there's a tumble.
Today. That is 8 to 12 years later.
It is. Yeah, it's been a while.
Folks, you can't get rich quickly, and you should never follow the crowd in and out because you will almost always be the last one. What happens is everybody jumps in the pool ahead of you, splashing out the water until you're the one who jumps in and hits your head on the concrete and kills yourself.
I hope that's not going to happen today because I'm going to get in the pool. So
yeah, that pool. You couldn't. Well, it would be hard to jump into.
3 feet of water.
It would be hard to jump into from a height. Second,
no, that's true.
The underneath it is just grass. It's a plastic pool.
No, there's
no concrete.
Okay, no, there's no concrete. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right. You're really a big help.
I try to help.
Here's my lesson.
Go ahead. You share yours.
My lesson is. But you kind of alluded to it, but my lesson is by the time you even hear about this, you're too late.
Mm-hmm.
By the time your neighbor tells you, you're too late. I think, wasn't it Joe Kennedy once said that the shoeshine boy was telling him about stock picks? He knew
in 1929.
Peaked.
Yeah,
the market had peaked, time to get out. So instead, what do? You've got to have a portfolio that matches you, not trying to speculate. You've got to have a longer term plan because most of the money that we save and invest is for retirement. And you got to tune all this out because it's out there and it feels like today it's bigger than ever. And I guess some of it is because of the young people. The average person, I think at Robinhood is like 31. And we'll talk about
get me started on
fractional
Robinhood.
fractional shares. I got to get down on old Charlie Schwab for this one too, because I don't like fractional shares. They're frankly, they're just evil, but we'll talk about that in a few minutes.
We will, and we will take your calls at 855-935-TALK, 855-935-8255. We talk about money because money is such a crucial, critical part of your life. Give us a call.
Tom and Don are talking real money.
You've heard that about 99% of all financial advisors are not always required to act in your best interest. You've probably been pitched financial products by all manner of friends and relatives, and the investing you have done is probably a hodgepodge of ill-fitting pieces that are doing little to provide the financial security you need. If you're looking for a 100% pure fiduciary, and we'll put that in writing, low-cost, fee-only advisor who always puts you first, give Vestory a call at 800-386-3004. That's 800-386-3004, or visit us online at Vestory, VESTORY.com.
Your guides to a really great financial future. Tom and Don are talking real money.
Hi, I'm Don. That's Tom. This is
And you're
Talking
still, by the
Real
way-
Money. What?
I just realized this. You were in a bubble in 2008, and again, the Orlando area is in a bubble again today.
No,
Don't
no,
they
they're
have
really-
the MLS bubble.
Oh,
and
yeah.
they have the
okay.
NBA bubble.
NBA bubble, yeah.
And the MLS bubble. 'Cause,
Then they're going to have the Republican National Convention bubble.
yeah.
What is wrong with this state? Honestly, what is wrong with this state?
I would say something insulting, but
It's okay.
Get mad at me when I do, so I'm not going to.
We're used to you doing that. 855-935-TALK. Give us a call. We love to talk with you. 855-935-8255. Peter, it's your time. Welcome to Talking Real Money.
Hi, Don. Got a question. Between living trust and a will, we are going to be inheriting one or the other, either through a will or through a living trust. We're setting it up through the person that's going to give it to us, the relative is going to give it to us. And I'm trying to figure out the difference. I know that a will is, I'm going to call it less secure. I'm not sure if that's the right word, but it's also...
That probably isn't, but I think I know what you're talking
about.
Oh,
So I guess the question always is, what are you trying to achieve by doing one or the other? Remember, we're not attorneys either, by the way. But what is your what is your goal? Is it
we are going to be the receiver
taxes?
of it? Meaning, we will. If I tell the lady to put it in the will, she's going to put it in the will, and hopefully, when she passes away, we're going to inherit it. If she puts it in a living trust, hopefully, we're going to go that way. I've experienced living trust. It was seamless. It was easy, except for a couple of $1,000 to do the living trust. It was the correct way to do it, in my opinion. But her experience has been with a will, and she bought the house 50 years ago. So she did. I don't even know if living trust existed 50 years ago.
well,
So if you could tell me.
Yeah, there's a basic difference, and I think you kind of alluded to it. The big difference is a trust generally costs quite a bit more than a simple will. But there are things you can do to enhance a will, to make it a simpler process, for example, because a will must be probated. So there is a time factor that comes into play. It is not generally real expensive. It depends on where where under whose jurisdiction you are, but generally it's not. Trust costs more initially. Wills probably cost a little more after the fact. But for example, you just mentioned property. You could have the deed on that property changed to read blank and blank, joint tenants with rights of survivorship. Then it transfers outside of probate, outside of a trust, completely. You could put on many kinds of assets TOD or POD, which is transfer on death or payable on death. So there are a variety, and these are just, and we're not attorneys. It would be wise to get the opinion of an attorney who specializes in wills and trusts. They're usually called elder law attorneys these days. But the basic differences are cost, pay me now, pay me later, less time, more time, and you might want to explore some of the less, if it's just securities and a piece of property, you could probably do transfer on death titling on all of that and eliminate the need for a will for anything but personal property, and then let the personal property probate. But you probably, if it's more complicated, you need an attorney. Thanks so much for the call. We really appreciate it. 855-935-TALK is the number. Wills and There's no cut and dried answer to any of these things. That's why when Rick comes to one of our events and speaks, he goes on for hours.
Well, and again, I was trying to look at your situation.
I'm kidding a little.
I'm kidding.
A little.
Look at the situation. I mean, again, to be brutally, I have a trust, but I have a complex family situation. Right?
Really? You think?
Yeah, you think? Yeah. So, I mean, I have children. I love them all. I've got children from a previous relationship.
Oh,
love my wife.
He doesn't even know how many
my
children.
New kids.
He doesn't have any
exactly.
idea. There
so,
could be thousands out there.
They're all
Make sure they're all
going to end
covered.
up with one plane and one book. I got it all covered, so they're all good, Don.
And the plane he's talking about is made of plastic, and it's hanging in his studio right now.
But well painted nonetheless.
Beautifully painted planes. Look at that cargo thing, C-130. 855-935-TALK.
And Don are talking real money.
Did you know I wrote a book? Yeah, about 10 years ago, I wrote a book about investing. Financial Physics, with an F, How Money and Investing Really Work. It's a short read. It's a really easy read because, well, as you know, investing is way too easy to be this complicated. And it's been on sale for a long time at Amazon. I updated it in 2018 to a new version. But if you don't want to buy it, you can go buy it at Amazon. It's $10. But if you don't want to buy it, if you want it free, well, you can get it free two ways. One, you can get a PDF copy by going to talkingrealmoney.com/free. talkingrealmoney.com/free. If you don't put in the /free, you can't find it. The other way is if you have an iDevice, like an iPhone or an iPad or a Mac, you can go get an interactive version of the book, a special edition that I made that's actually interactive, that's got videos and motion and things going on, and that's also free. Just look for Financial Physics, FYSICS, in the Apple Bookstore or Apple Books or whatever they call it now. Or go to talkingrealmoney.com/free, talkingrealmoney.com/free. And I guarantee you'll enjoy the PDF or the iBook or your money back. Check it out, talkingrealmoney.com/free.
Reality radio for a really great future. We're talking real money.
Hello again. I'm Don. There is Tom right there in the hangar.
Hello.
Hello. And we're talking about money here on Talking Real Money. You know, here's a totally random point before we get to the call. I read recently that 99% of electricity, I don't know if this is true, I read it in some article, 99% of all the electricity generated is lost to resistance.
It's a high number. I do know that. Yes.
99%. I got to get,
I said the same thing about my children, but okay. Yeah.
99% of your income was lost to your children.
No, 99% of my great advice was lost to resistance.
Continually. That's just the human condition. Like bubbles. 855-935-TALK is our phone number. The point was, I think I'm going to work on room temperature superconducting. I'm just going to change my job. It'd be a lot of money if I could invent that, wouldn't it?
No, what you need to do is just go public and say, I'm going to have an idea that I'll invest in at some point.
Oh, I'm going to make a blank check IPO, and then I'm going to buy somebody who has that idea. Oh,
bingo.
This is too
Perfect.
easy.
That's easy. Make a lot of money.
Making money is just too easy. 855-935-TALK is our phone number. I'm Don. That's Tom. And on the line, another Don. Don, welcome to Talking Real Money.
Hey, Don.
Oh, we lost Jerry? Oh, we lost Don. We got Jerry. Oh, never mind. Bye, Don. Hello, Jerry.
Yeah.
Hi, Jerry.
Yeah, gentlemen. Can you hear me?
Yes.
We do.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm on duty right now. I'm a state trooper. Anyway, I hear you guys every once in a while.
Thank you for out there stopping those bad guys speeding.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'll try to. If you're a nice guy and I recognize you and I knew what you guys look like, then I'd probably not give you a ticket, but you never know. Depends on
what color is your Honda? What color?
My Honda can't go fast enough to generate a ticket. That's the problem.
Well, us guys now on the freeway, we have different color vehicles now.
I've noticed that. Yes. So congratulations.
Oh, yeah.
In all seriousness, thank you for your work.
Summer black.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know we're teasing, but we're thanking you. So go.
That's okay. I know you guys don't like sectors too much, but if you were to go in a sector right now, would you consider one of these four: gold, silver, real estate, tech, or health?
Oh, let's see. Gold.
Wow.
Never.
So picking one.
No, I'm going to do. This is my way of picking investments. Trooper, this is my way of doing it. It's a process of elimination, okay? Gold has never made anybody any money. So, ever. Long-term, never made anybody any money. It's a terrible investment. Maybe a good speculation, but I don't predict the future. No. Silver, same story.
Worse.
Real estate, its history is not particularly great. Go ahead, Tom.
Well, I'm going to correct you mildly on the real estate, because real estate investment trusts, owning a lot of them, has been far better than residential real estate.
That's true.
Over time.
Residential has only returned about 2% per year over inflation, which isn't
not much,
particularly great. Tech's wonderful at times, and but it's hard.
We can jump you right in the NASDAQ, Trooper, at about 2,000 if you like, because it was doing pretty well then.
And what was the fifth one?
Healthcare.
You always got to love healthcare, but here's the issue. It's all a matter of timing. It's being in the right place at the right time. And everything you mentioned right now, there are people who believe it's one of them's going to be hot and one of them's not.
Well, wait a minute. I'm going to stop you there. Health has been hot. Tech has been hot. Gold has been hot. Real estate's the only thing that hasn't.
Well,
so
it has,
something contrarian, but
yeah,
I mean, that might be the play, But
we're not big fans of sectors. I would rather see you get a really well-diversified portfolio that has health, that has tech, that has gold a little, but the mining of it, not the speculating in it, and all of the other asset classes and sectors that at times will do well and at other times won't, because to do otherwise is really gambling. It's not investing anymore.
Okay, so just getting a good fund that's has all of these in it. That'd be the best way to look at it.
Absolutely, okay. Because
we've got one for you.
They're going to rebalance for you too. When health is doing really well, they're going to be selling off some of the health and buying one of those sectors that isn't doing well, which is the thing all of us want to be doing, but we don't know how to do. To buy low and sell high just requires discipline, which is really difficult for most of us to master.
And here's the one fund, VT Wax. Jerry, because VT Wax owns about 9,000 securities globally. It has all those sectors you just mentioned in it. It does exactly what Don said. Dollars to Donuts says it's been selling the things that have gone, like the Amazons that have gone up 50% this year, et cetera, and buying the things that haven't. So that's exactly where you want to be as an investor.
And thanks for keeping us safe out there. We do truly appreciate you, and we appreciate the call. 855-935-TALK is the number, and Tom's Honda is blue. So if you see a white-haired guy in a blue Honda...
white-haired blue.
Tom and Don are talking real money.
We don't believe in seat of your pants investing. We believe investing should be based on solid science, on academic research. That's why on July 29th, we'll be hosting a brand new class, The New Science of Real Investing, at 8 a.m. via Zoom. Get your tickets right now at TalkingRealMoney.com. Just click on the New Events button or the Events button and reserve your place. Go to TalkingRealMoney.com and make sure you're there to learn the science of real investing in our next online Zoom class. Go to TalkingRealMoney.com, click on the Events button.
For your real life and real future, Tom and Don are talking real money.
Hi there. Welcome back to the show. Don McDonald here, Tom Cock over there. This is Talking Real Money, the show that talks about real money. What a clever idea and name. Hey, I was just looking at Vanguard Total World Stock Index, or as you like to call it, VT Wax, and it is 19% in technology.
Yeah.
It is 13% in healthcare.
Yep.
It is 4% in real estate. So you get a lot of that right there. And the other cool thing about it is 8,600 stocks covering almost every publicly traded stock in the world.
Well, I mean, there are about 13,500, but okay.
Yeah, but all but the little tiny ones.
Yeah, I mean, the problem,
you
can't own a lot of those if you're running a public mutual fund, because people have a tendency to want to sell at the wrong times, which I'll bet they did in March, by the way.
And I want all of you listening, Jerry, Peter, all of you, all you callers, all you listeners, I need you to hear this really, really, really carefully. I want you to listen. Don't confuse feelings with knowledge. We all have feelings about things that might be happening in the future. We all can feel that technology stocks will do well, and they probably will. But the trick is technology changes so rapidly that today's hot technology could be tomorrow's failing technology. So you're not going to get this right flying by the seat of your pants, and you cannot possibly compete on knowledge with the big institutional players. And there is absolutely no way to know the future.
Well, and I guess the other part is kind of why. I always want to ask people, why do you want to trade in sectors? And the answer has to be what?
I know which things are going to do better. I want to pick the things that do better.
I want to make more than the market.
I want to make more than the market. Yeah.
If you just made what the market gave you over a long period of time, for most people, that's enough of a return to finance your future. But it's
emotions. Emotions trip us up. They really do trip us up. And we talked about the fear of missing out emotion. We've talked about the fear of being in when it goes down and losing a lot of money. And then there's another thing that happens to us, and that is we just freeze up.
Well, the reason I think doom scrolling. It's big now, and it's
really, I didn't even know that was a term until a few days ago.
Yeah. I mean, what we're talking about here is on your phone, you're keep scrolling through all these stories about how bad things are happening in Florida, how the world's never going to reopen, how et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And it catches up with you. I mean, I think I told the story once of how my father-in-law was living with us for a time, and he sat around and watched TV all day, news. Mm-hmm. And I'd come home at night and he'd go, I'm so depressed. I go, well, first thing is turn that off, because that will eat you alive, because sure, there's always bad things, but what do you do? I mean, the question always is that we get asked, what do I do now?
Right.
The future's uncertain.
We hear it all the time. What do I do now?
Every day, every single day. And a lot of you
it's our job to take that question.
I agree. A lot of you are paralyzed because you don't know, you feel less certain about the future. And so there's more fear. And so then it's like, well, then I don't want to do anything. By the way, doing nothing, as our friend John Bogle once said, is making a decision. Mm-hmm. Right? I mean, where your money is making a decision. So here's my suggestion for all that. I think in that case, you should try to look at the short-term situation. I'm talking 6 months to a year, and then 1 year and longer, because if you're investing or saving or whatever for the future that's further than 1 year out, I think you should look at the long past to say, here's how things have acted. If it's short-term, and you're uncertain about your job or although, then that's money that you should save and not invest anyway. But you should still be making decisions today, not getting stuck because the future feels less certain than it did prior to COVID.
And what he's in essence saying is really very simple. You need to develop discipline. You need to develop mental discipline that will help you develop a financial discipline. Think about this for a minute. If your money is needed in the near term, this is money you need for emergencies. You have a particular goal in mind that's less than a couple of years or, less than a decade away. Though that money, I can see why you would not want to lose that, and that money should remain protected. But money for longer term goals can be put at some risk of volatility when you get the knowledge of the reality of the past. The reality of the past is that over X number of years, and it's really right around 10, right around there, folks with a really truly diversified portfolio of equities, and I'm talking incredibly well diversified, U.S., international, small, large, all those things, those folks haven't lost money over a decade. Even the spurious argument that, from 1929, you didn't recover till after World War II. That is bunk. That is only true if you spent all of the dividends the stocks paid, which was a big part of the return of stocks back in those days. Mark Holbert did a piece showing you would have recovered it, depending on exactly when you got in, you would have recovered within 5 to 8 years.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's a silly argument. It really is.
You need a discipline.
The other question. Right. I agree. Here's another way I think to escape some of the stasis, some of the I'm stuck here, is to go back and put together a list of the reasons why you would make a change and the reasons why you wouldn't. Oftentimes people just, and you said the exact thing, they allow their emotions to say, well, I just could never do anything right now because we're in the middle of this. Mm-hmm. Okay, we are. I never argue about people's emotions because they're real. But I think if you make a list and you say, here are the reasons I'd make a change, here are the reasons I wouldn't, that might help you work through some of the emotions, get back to the maybe more the intellectual side. Does that sound right?
Well, and that's across the board. You need to let the intellectual side of your brain control your financial decisions. And I think this is something this has been the basis of almost everything we preach. Leave your emotions to things emotional. Save your emotions for your spouse or significant other, your children, your parents, your friends. Save your emotions for those things that require
your
emotion.
Sports teams.
Your sports teams, of course.
When we had sports teams, yeah.
Those are done now, right?
Yeah, kind of back.
Yeah, you watched your MLS games. You were disappointed, weren't you?
It's not been very good. It's been pretty disappointing.
I'm sorry.
But
I'm telling
that's exactly
NBA
right.
fans are going to have the same thing soon, and Major League Baseball fans.
I don't think they'll even have college football. I think it's over.
I think you're probably right because it's too hard to have college. You're going to have college to have college football.
I think you'll have pro football. I think the NFL will be there. But I don't think they'll have college football.
Those guys risk their lives all the time. When they hit heads with somebody, it's like it basically is a slow-term death sentence anyway. They know the risks.
So don't allow the current situation. What I'm trying to say is, I see this regularly. Talk to a lot of people that say, call me after the crisis ends. I get that. It's a horrible, we're still even we're done debating, but until very recently debating whether we should go on our little family thing over to Lake Chelan because it's worrisome. But don't allow that feeling to impact long-term decisions, which could have huge ramifications. That's the way I'd put it.
And learn the facts about money. Not the rumors, not the innuendo, not the tips, not the guesses. Learn the facts. And give us a call at 855-935-TALK, 855-935-8255.
Tom and Don are talking real money.
If you're sick of your self-interested financial advisor and are looking for a 100% fiduciary low-fee investment advisor, call my firm Vestory at 800-386-3004 or visit us at vestory.com.
Your guides to a really great financial future. Tom and Don are talking real money.
And if you're tired of all the games that people play with money, you want to actually get the facts. You want the science of how investing really works based on scientists? Well, come to our next Zoom class and join 100 of your closest friends in absolute safety. It's called The New Science of Retirement Investing. It takes place on the 29th, and tickets are free. They're free. They're really easy to get to. You just go to talkingrealmoney.com and click on the events button or that little button that says learn. Just go to talkingrealmoney.com.
We hope you realize that the information provided on Talking Real Money is for educational and hopefully enjoyable purposes only. Providing personalized financial planning or investing advice takes time, so please consult with a really good fee-only fiduciary investment, tax, or legal advisor. We know a good one. Investing must always involve risk. In other words, you can and probably will lose money at times. Also, as much as you want it, no one can accurately and consistently predict the future. So past performance doesn't tell you a darn thing about what the future will bring. Unlike many other programs that say something similar, Talking Real Money is not trying to get you to buy or sell any financial products or securities. Instead, the program is provided as a public service by Vestory, a fee-only registered investment advisor. Thanks for listening, and please visit talkingrealmoney.com for more information and disclosures. Are we done now?